We are going to solve polynomial equations, and we're going to do that by factoring and using the zero product property. So our first step is going to be to set our equation equal to 0. So get the equation equal to 0. In this problem, number 1, you can see that it's already equal to 0. So our next step will be to factor. And then our third step will be to use the zero product property. Now, x cubed minus 8 equals 0 is a sum of two cubes. X cubed is a cube of x, and 8 is a cube of 2. So I'm going to have a binomial with x and 2, and then I'll have a trinomial, and I'm going to set that equal to 0. I'm going to factor using that bouncy rule, so x times x is x squared, x times 2 is 2x, and 2 times 2 is 4. I'll use the acronym SOAP. We're going to use the same sign, then the opposite of that sign, and then always positive. I'm going to use the zero product property, setting each variable factor. X minus 2 is a variable factor, and x squared plus 2x plus 4 is a variable factor. I'm going to set each one of those variable factors equal to 0. So x minus 2 equals 0, and then x squared plus 2x plus 4 equals 0. And I'm going to solve. Now, something to note is that when you factor the sum or difference of cubes, the trinomial always produces complex solutions. So that gives, I'm going to say, imaginary solutions. So x minus 2 equals 0, we add 2 to both sides. We get x equals 2. That's a real solution. So it's called a real solution, a real zero, a real root. X squared plus 2x plus 4, we're going to have to use the quadratic formula. So x equals the opposite of b, plus or minus the square root of b squared, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2a. So I've got negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 16, all over 2. 4 minus 16 is negative 12. So x equals negative 2 plus or minus. I'm going to take out an I, and then I'm going to break down that 12. I've got a pair of 2's. So I've got 2i times the square root of 3 all over 2. And that becomes x equals divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, and we get x equals negative 1 plus or minus I times the square root of 3 all over 1. I'm going to make this a bit smaller so that we've got some room here. And my two answers, I will write those in green here. X equals 2 and negative 1 plus or minus I times the square root of 3. So there's three answers. There's the 2, which is a real solution, and then we've got two imaginary solutions. The 2 because of the plus or minus. So we have negative 1 plus I times the square root of 3 and negative 1 minus I times the square root of 3. So let's do another one of those. We've got 27x cubed plus 1. This again is a sum of two cubes. 27x cubed is a cube of 3x, and 1 is a cube of 1. So we'll have 3x and 1, and then the trinomial is going to be 9x squared, 3x, and 1. This is a plus, a minus, and a plus. I'm going to set 3x plus 1 equals 0 and solve that. I subtract 1 and divide by 3. And then the second factor, 9x squared minus 3x plus 1, because this was a sum of two cubes, remember the cubes, that trinomial always produces imaginary roots. So I'm going to do this in gray. X equals the opposite of b, plus or minus b squared minus 4ac, all over 2a, which is 18. 3 plus or minus 9 minus 36, all over 18. 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 27, all over 18. 27 breaks down to be 3 3s. So one of those 3s is going to come to the outside, one from the pair, and then we've got a 3 left over. So if I break down 27, I get 3 3s. So one from the pair goes to the outside, and then the leftover stays inside. And then we're going to divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3. And we get a second answer of x equals 1 plus or minus I times the square root of 3 all over 6. So two answers. We've got x equals negative 1/3. That's our real answer. And then we've got x equals 1 plus or minus I times the square root of 3 all over 6. And that's two answers. Okay, so if you feel good about trying this problem, maybe press pause and give this one a try. Otherwise, continue to watch, and I'm going to go through this problem. 8x cubed is a cube of 2x. 125 is a cube of 5. Because this sum of two cubes is equal to 0, I'm just going to factor and use the zero product property. So I've got 2x plus 5, and then my trinomial is going to be 4x squared minus 10x plus 25. This factor gives me x equals negative 5 halves. And this factor, we'll do this one in blue, this factor right here is going to be the opposite of negative 10 plus or minus b squared, which is 100, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2a, which is an 8. So I believe I've got 10 plus or minus 100 minus 400, all over 8. That's going to be negative 300. And we can break this down off to the side. 2 goes into 300, 150 times. 2 goes into 150, 75. 3 goes into 75, 25 times. And then we've got a 5 and a 5. So a pair of 5s, a pair of 2s. That's going to be a 10 that comes to the outside along with the negative, so that's an I. And then the leftover is just a 3. And then the 10, and the 8. The 10, and the 8 reduces. Those are all divisible by 2. So our second answer is x equals 5 plus or minus 5i times the square root of 3 all over 4. So we've got x equals negative 5 halves and x equals 5 plus or minus 5i times the square root of 3 all over 4. Now in the next video, I am going to do the next 3 problems, which include trinomials that are quadratic in nature. Oh, that was dumb.